This podcast is sponsored by nobody. Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today I will be welcoming Erin Shannon. Erin is a Bay Area-based stand-up comedian. She's also many other things. She's a reader. I don't know if it's a psychic or a tarot reader, but I'm going to find out today because I'm really curious about it. And she's a cat lover. She collects wigs. She's just very quirky and funny and open-minded. And we're just going to nerd out today. We're going to talk about movies and music, cats, her readings, all that stuff, and it's going to be a great conversation. And I can't wait. And the last couple of days I've been reflecting a lot about what's going on in our world, in our society, and it's so frightening. I'm just like reading a lot of history-based stuff. You know, I've been not studying, but just like reading a lot about stuff that Sigmund Freud said and things that his nephew Edward Bernays did to tap into the masses and sell products that are just harmful for our society. And it's just like making me think a lot deeper than I used to. It's just really, really eye-opening. Also, too, rest in peace, Gary Wright, the Dreamweaver. You got so many people through the night in 1975. I mean, that album was fucking huge. You know, it was a huge seller for Warner Brothers at a time when glam rock was just dominating the top 40 radio. And I just love that song. I remember when it was in Wayne's World, when, Wayne, he looks at Tia Carrere with all those, elaborate stars and stuff around her, and that song's playing. Yeah, I just love that song. That album was just as big as Frampton Comes Alive. Rest in peace, Dreamweaver. Get some of those angels up there through the night. So yeah, here is my interview with Erin Shannon.
Hello.
Hey, Erin. Welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I am also fantastic as well. Thank you so much for finally coming on and doing this. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think so. So we're not doing video. We're just doing the recording, correct?
Absolutely.
Oh, sounds wonderful. Here we are.
Yes. So let's start with your background. I know you as a comic, but you're also a reader. What kind of a reader? Psychic, tarot?
Well, I do what I call intuitive reading, but I use the tarot. I use other divination tools. I read energy. So sometimes it's with the cards, sometimes it's just with the person. I can do it over the phone. I can do it in person. I can do it at distance, because I kind of believe that it's all energy, and I just happen to tune into the information.
All right, so you read a person's energy, you read,
yeah.
What they tell you, what's bothering them, that kind of a thing?
Yeah, generally I don't like for them to tell me anything beforehand, and that way I can get a very clean read so that I can... my intention is to help people feel better about where they are and where they're going and maybe where they came from. It's to have people feel better. So this is all, it's not future, I'm not fortune telling, I'm not, free will enters everything. You can make a choice that changes everything. You could have one reading and whoever it was could tell you this and this is happening, this is the path before you, and you could make a different choice and boom, have it go in a different direction. So I'm kind of like one of the ones that I don't give really guarantees. I connect. It's more like connecting emotionally,
right? Like
having somebody be seen, and sometimes dead people come in. Yeah.
Of course.
So,
yeah.
Of course.
That's part of the game. So you're born in Nevada but raised in Oakland?
Actually, what's funny story, I was born in Oakland. My dad was in the Navy. Mm-hmm. And he was originally from the Reno area of Nevada. Mm-hmm. And so shortly after I was born, we moved back to Nevada. And now I'm back in Oakland.
Crazy. Yeah, I'm born and raised in San Mateo, and when I was growing up, I was told never go to Oakland. It's dangerous.
Yeah, there are places. There are places. It wasn't when I got to the Bay Area in the late 80s. Mm-hmm. I moved to San Francisco, and I rarely went to Oakland because it seemed like a war zone.
Yeah.
Or I was told it was. So I really didn't get to explore it a lot until I moved here, and I moved here in 2009.
Wow.
And it's not so bad, but there's places where you don't really necessarily want to go, or you need to have your wits about you.
Yeah, I have a friend who got shot in a drive-by there around 2011 or something like that.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah, he had this big old bullet wound. And after the recovery and the bullet was taken out and everything, he, showed it on Facebook as a badge of honor.
Oh, God. Well, hey, everybody's got to have their medals.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their thing they're proud of. I just, do sound effects for people's hairdos. I don't know, man.
So did you know you were funny early on?
No, I was really, really, really shy when I was younger. Mm-hmm. It was only until I discovered drama class, or my drama teacher must have given me my first compliment I ever got from an adult. Yeah. She said, "You have great facial expression." And at that, a little tiny ham was born at that moment. And so, but it was mostly about drama class because I wanted to be an actress. Yeah. And I didn't start stand-up comedy. I had all the places that I worked. People were like, "You're hilarious. Mm-hmm. What do you do? You're hilarious." And I thought, well, okay, that's nice. You liked me. Of course, you think I'm hilarious. And then I sang in bands first, and then in the late 90s, I decided to I watched a couple open mics at some coffee houses in San Francisco, mm-hmm. and mid-90s, sorry. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to write down some jokes and see if I can do them. And because it seemed like it was a safe place to do it. And so over in the Western Addition, there was this place, and there was this really cool guy that was emceeing, and all these people. It just seemed that they were there all the time. So I went up, and it felt good. It mm-hmm. felt good, and that kind of made me want to do it more. And I like talking to people. I like making them laugh. I like telling stories. Mm-hmm. So it just kind of evolved from there. I mean, nothing really big or fancy happened with it. I just did it from like 1996 until about 2000, and then I stopped for a while. Never quite got back completely into it, but I was at the Punchline every Sunday. Yeah. In the back, and I got up a couple of times, and I think it was only because I was cute, and they had another manager there, Steve. I like to call him Mustache Steve, and I think he might have thought I was cute, so he put me up a couple of times, and I felt really privileged to have that happen, but I know that didn't happen for a lot of people. And I hosted at the Mock Cafe over on Valencia for about a year and a half. I hosted their open mic comedy night, and that was pretty fun. So,
yeah, I started in 2006 at the Brainwash Cafe.
Nice.
Yeah. Did you ever perform there?
A couple of times, yes. Mm. I ended up at the Mock Cafe so much, and I worked a regular job just like I do now, and so I had to really kind of pick and choose the nights that I was out doing open mics. Right. So, but I love Tony Sparks. He's awesome.
Love the guy.
And Yeah, and it was just that was such a welcoming room, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to go to, was it Java Sword over on Clement
Oh
Street?
yeah.
I used to go there a lot. The first time I ever did it was when there's this bar over on Fillmore, right by the Fillmore,
Mm-hmm.
and it was called Jack's Bar
Yeah.
at that point. It was before it became the blues. I can't remember what the name of it is now, but it's some blues venue. But I lived in that neighborhood, so I could just kind of walk over,
Mm-hmm.
and I did an open mic there. And I had this woman introduce me as, she thought it was funny, but so she introduced me as urine. So that was really. I said, "Oh, I haven't been insulted like that since junior high. That's so sweet. Thank you." Moving on. You know, it's like, okay, lady, yeah, you put me in my place. That's all right. That's all right. Other women can do comedy too.
Yeah. Yeah, I was at the Brainwash every Thursday for 2.5 years. It was an interesting yet fun time. There was lots of homeless people, lots of woke millennials on their laptops with coffee before woke was even an idiom of idiocy.
Oh, yeah. Boy, it's amazing what people will do to create division and to like charge up a word.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Just like that's a charged word. It's so sad because I don't know. I don't know if it's sad, but it's just incredible. Yeah, they were woke before there was woke.
Exactly. But back then nobody was really standing up and saying that's not funny. They would just sit there and just like sip their coffee and pretend nothing was said. That's what they would do.
Oh yeah. Well, also too, a lot of the open mics that I went to, there were just comedians there. Like we would do like at Java Source. Sometimes the audience was just all the comics there, and sometimes they'd laugh, but the other times they have seen your stuff. They've seen your shit for so many times that they're just like, yeah. I'm gonna write in my book. I'm gonna make sure I have my stuff down. I laughed at everybody, but you know, it's like it was a whole scene. And I was around, it was, at the time I was doing comedy, there weren't, in the open mics, there were only maybe 3 or 4 other women that were close to my age that were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if some of them are still doing comedy. But you know, let's see. There was a woman named Melanie. There was a woman named Simone. There was this old woman that was like, she was because she was probably my age or a little younger, and always talked about how she had pedicured feet. You would like that. Anyway.
Yes. Yep.
So, but, and who else? Well, and I did open mics with like Al Madrigal.
Oh, yeah.
And Pablo Francisco.
Yeah.
And quite a few people that I'm like, wow, I see you see you in stuff. I see you in stuff. Arch Barker. Well, I didn't do open mics with Arch Barker. I think Arch was a little farther along, but he came to the mock before, and I think we went to the beauty bar afterwards with a bunch of people after the open mic had completed. But you know, I know all these people. Joe Klosik, we used to do open mics all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Sitting
I remember Joe.
At the Punchline. He's a dear friend.
Yeah.
And Ngao.
Yeah.
And gosh, even W. Kamau Bell.
Mm-hmm.
That was the era that I was doing open mics, and they were doing open mics at the same time too.
Do you remember Mother Divine?
I think so.
Yeah, she was
I never did anything with her. There was the woman who hosted my first open mic. I think her name was Umi.
Okay.
and she was pretty incredible. She was pretty funny, and very fearless. And that was, I was always impressed with people that were really fearless and a little dark.
Yeah.
Because that's how I've survived. That my dark sense of humor has got me through a lot.
Yep, same here. Yeah, I mean, let's see. I mean, there were so many guys in my age group, because I was 23 when I started, so many guys in my age group that I thought were going to be great, but they all went back to improv, because a lot of them came from improv. There was,
Oh, wow.
there were guys like David Wiswell and Julian Vance and Nathan Jackson, and they just got out of it. Nobody even knows where Julian Vance is. I mean, that guy disappeared, like, off the face of the planet.
Wow. We just started having sketch comedy at the Mock. That we had we had sketch comedy open mic, and then the stand up open mic. We started doing that for a little while, and Killing My Lobster, probably one of the first iterations of Killing My Lobster, was went up and did sketches. That was pretty crazy and fun.
Yeah, Chris Garcia, like he and I started probably a year apart from each other, maybe around the same time, and I remember nights where he completely bombed, and I saw a couple of nights where he actually killed, but I knew that he was going to be successful like he is now, because he was just a sweet guy, and that goes a long way, and just like I knew he was going to be successful.
It goes a long way. I mean, I always thought Al Madrigal, he's pretty damn successful, and I always thought that he was just, I like the ones that if I have to, when they give them the light, they wrap it up. And he was really polite about it.
Yeah.
We used to have some that were like young guys that would come out from like the Central Valley or something to do open mics, and they just wanted to be up so bad that they just would ignore the light, and you talk to them about it and they'd give you attitude. Just like, listen, what you're saying is not so much more special than the next person.
Yeah.
I have to say that one of the things that I liked the most about that was I liked being the host. I enjoy being the host. And I never quite found a gig doing that, but I enjoy being the host because I like the banter in between, and I like introducing people in the way they want to be introduced and building them up and stuff. That's pretty cool,
Yeah. Oh, that's so awesome. Like, who did you grow up watching on TV that was in comedy?
The first stand-up I remember was that there was a young comedian special, and I think that it included Sandra. I have a dog in the house. Sorry. It included Sandra Bernhard.
Oh yeah.
And David Brenner.
Yep.
And who else? I think Gary Mulehair was on there.
Probably.
And it was like late 70s.
Yeah.
And who else was on there? It just blew me away. Richard Belzer was on one of the specials.
Yes.
And he did this one thing that I have no idea. I don't know. I don't think there's video of it anywhere.
Oh, it is. It's on YouTube. It's Freddie Prinze and Friends.
Well, but there was this one story that he told that was really long and convoluted. And it had to be him. I don't think it was David Brenner, but It was like, when I was a little girl in France, or when I was a little boy in France, I was not a little boy. I was a little girl. And it was like jazz comedy. And it blew me away. I always loved comedy, and I always liked watching the comedy specials. It was just incredible. I mean, my dad had all the Cheech and Chong records, so I would listen to those, and we'd memorize those and stuff.
I did too. Yeah, we had Big Bamboo on vinyl.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the wrapping paper was no longer there though; it was smoked.
Right. he stuffs it up his nose.
Yeah. Oh God, that was so cruel. So cruel.
Or Sister Mary something like class.
Sister Mary
class.
Alfred.
Shut up. Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. But
yeah.
Yeah, we had. So I grew up on that and totally politically incorrect books of like
truly
1,000.
Truly tasteless
truly
jokes.
tasteless jokes.
Yeah.
And they would pick a nationality, 1001, whatever the nationality was that was being picked on jokes.
Right.
It was just really. How many did it take to put in a light bulb? You know.
Oh yeah.
That kind of stuff. But I think my family, my dad was pretty charming and funny, and so I think that once I got the freedom to, once I realized how I could get over my shyness by being funny. And it wasn't like goofy funny. I just found that I had a gift for sarcasm.
Right.
I have a gift for snark.
Yep. We all do.
Yeah. So I incorporate that in a little bit in my readings. I mean, it's not, I don't do anything cheesy, but you know, sometimes to get a point across to someone, a different voice will come through.
Of course.
And I used to impersonate people. I had funny songs, so I would do Cher, and I did Ethel Merman singing rock songs. Joke around and try and do Celine Dion, but just change the words to their songs just a little bit, and Madonna as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're great at pointing out people's foibles. I mean, you did that with me. You know I like feet, so you had to point that out. I love it.
I didn't mean to do that, but it was so funny because I'm like, oh, I'm going to mention this lady's feet, and I remember a conversation I had with him about feet.
Yep.
I was like, oh, okay, if I make a really quick run at it and then just leave it right there, just kind of hanging right there very quickly, it might dissipate, but I can't resist. It's right there.
It's funny. I've been outlining my memoir, and I kind of want to tell the story about how I got into feet, but I don't want it to make it sound like it's a fucking Freudian theory, you know?
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, people like what they like.
Yeah.
Okay, and there's no telling. I mean, you know, you watch those shows on TLC where people are eating wrapping paper or something. You know, everybody has this thing. I collect cats. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I don't collect them. They show up in my yard, and then I just keep them and take care of them. That's it. That's it. That's how I became a cat lady. They show up in your yard, and you're tender-hearted about them. So. Yeah,
I'm a huge cat lover too. I have a cat. Her name is Cinnamon. We've had her 4 years. We call her Cindy Moo or Cinnabon.
Aww.
And she's just the most loving cat I've ever had in my life. And she's a feral, and you know she's fat. You know we've tried putting her on a diet because her vet said so, and she's so funny. She's got personality. A lot of cats don't have personality, but she does.
I don't know. Yeah, I think they all have a lot of personality. You just have to take the time to get to know them,
I guess.
But yeah, my daughter's cat is a big cat. She's the biggest out of all the litters from the mama cat that showed up in my yard. She's a big girl. She's like 13 pounds, and she's a calico cat. And she has a perpetually bitchy look on her face. Like, even when she's happy, she's like, you know, Senorita Stink Eye.
Yeah.
And my other cat, the other cat that's inside, both Lucky and my cat Calico Bunny, who's her older sister, who's very petite calico cat and very gentle and timid and stuff. She's like all pretty and everything. And they just have such different personalities. And I have 5 outside that are still left over from the litters that until I finally got them fixed. I have a mama cat, and I have and I have two of the boys from the first litter that are Calico's immediate brothers. They're tuxedo boys, pink-nosed supermodel. And yeah, see, this is when we get into the more crazy talk. You think comedy is crazy.
Yeah.
Ask a cat lady what her cat names are and why. Okay. And then the other tuxedo boy he has 3 different names because initially he was Mustache Beard Cat because he has Frank Zappa's facial hair patterning.
Oh, God. Why?
And he's like Charlie or Frank because he has a mustache and a goatee. He's a tuxedo with a mustache and a goatee.
Oh, my God.
And he's got attitude. And then there are 2 girls from the third litter, both Calico girls. One of them is named Goldie because she's got a gold stripe down the front of her face.
Oh.
And the other is Princess Leia. And she's the most feral one. She doesn't like to be touched, doesn't like to be handled or anything like that. But she sure likes to come for dinner. And that's Mama is the same way. And I never named Mama because she's the one who started the mess. And that's one. So anyway, but how my cats got their names is that I feel like they kind of named themselves. Either that or I'm crazy, and it could be a little bit of both.
Yeah, my best friend, he had my cat for years and years, and the cat kept getting knocked up. And the last time it happened, she literally hated her kittens. I mean, she just, every time the kittens were around her, she would just, raise her paw at them, and the claws would come out.
Oh, wow.
Just did not want to be around them. And you couldn't touch her at all, because if you did touch her, especially her tail, she'll claw you. And she did that to me. And,
oh, my God. That's when you got to trap her and shut the baby factory down. It took me a year and a half.
Yeah. Now, one of those kittens grew up to be so big, she looked just like her mother, right? And I swear to God, the cat got up on my lap and sat there, and I thought it was her mother at first. I was like, what the fuck is this? Is she going to hurt me? Is she going to hurt me? And she's like, oh,
she
no.
likes me. Is she going to eat my face?
Yeah, he was like, no, that's her daughter. She's a sweetheart. And I was like, oh, okay. And then she was like licking me and stuff, like my cat Cinnamon licks me all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh, yeah. This whole journey. They are 9 and 10 years old now.
Oh.
So it started in like 2015,
mm-hmm.
and the mom is got to be about 10 years old, and the oldest ones are almost 9, and the other ones are like 8.5.
Oh.
So I've been keeping them alive for quite some time. I wasn't successful with some of them. I lost my favorite boy, who was Bowie, and he was a tuxedo, and he was the one that was the most cuddly. I used to be able to wear him like a scarf, or he'd get up on my shoulder. And he was the one that was the most affectionate, but he passed away a couple years ago.
Oh.
Yeah, it was pretty devastating. But then, because he was the second cat to die, like we had one of the cats pass away in 2020 during the pandemic, and then Bowie died in 2021. And Calico was the only one left in the house. Mm-hmm. So we were joking around that Calico Bunny was a serial killer, because after that cat died and I removed him from the house, she started coming out of her shell and like taking her places. And my roommate at the time and I kind of looked at each other like, do you think that she's a serial killer?
Yeah.
A cat serial killer? Do you think, because she seems really happy to have you to herself now? I'm like, oh boy. But so far Amanda's cat is fine. So I'm pretty sure that my cat is not a serial killer.
That's good. That's good.
It's such a relief. I mean, such a relief, because if she was, my landlord's dog would probably not be around anymore, because she really gets annoyed by her. So
we have a little pup. She's a little Chiweenie dog, and Her name is Abby, and she's a pain in the ass, but I love her. And I spend a lot of time with her. I'm always throwing the ball, and she goes and catches it. That's her. That's her daily exercise when we can't take her for a
Nice.
walk. Yeah.
Oh, I love those little guys. Someday, when I retire, well, when I'm not having to work during the day,
yeah,
work at a regular job, then I would like to get another dog, and I want one that's smaller and that I can kind of have hanging out with me all the time.
mm-hmm.
But right now, it just is not. It doesn't seem reasonable if I'm going to be gone all week, during the day.
Yeah.
And I can't really take the dog with me because I ride my bike for my commute to work.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, I suppose I could put him in a basket on there, but I just don't. It just doesn't make sense to have one.
What's your favorite movie of all time?
Wow. Okay. There's a few, but the first one that comes to mind is I love Singing in the Rain.
Oh yeah.
But I also love what's the other one? I love Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah. You look like a Rocky Horror girl.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I learned all the words to all the songs when I was in high school before I ever saw the movie because my friend brought the record album soundtrack and we learned all the words to all the songs. Mm-hmm. And then it finally came. I lived in Carson City when I went to high school in Nevada, and it finally came to the midnight showing at the Keystone in Reno, and I drove out, at midnight to go to the movies to finally get to see the movie. Mm-hmm. Like, it was a year of knowing all the words to the movie and getting briefed on what you were supposed to do and everything like that before I actually physically got to see the movie. It was incredible.
Sounds like it.
So, yeah. But I like Practical Magic is a fun movie. I really like that movie.
I've never seen that.
The Lord of the Rings, of course, all of them.
I love the Ralph Bakshi cartoon Lord of the Rings, and I've interviewed Frodo in the rotoscope form. That was Sharon from the Musketeers and Mickey Mouse Club.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's crazy coincidence. Yeah. I mean, my favorite movie of all time is Back to the Future, and
oh, that's a good one.
I've interviewed and become good friends with Claudia Wells, who played Jennifer in the first one. Me and my mom went to go to L.A. and we visited her. She owns an Armani store, and she gave me a huge discount on these like Armani dress shirts. They would probably cost about $250 normally, but she gave them to me for like $75 a piece.
Oh, that's very cool.
And gave me free autographs. Yeah, and she loves my dirty jokes.
That's always a plus, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I think sometimes like I have to kind of tone myself down at work because my humor is a little dark.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and so I have to kind of they already know I'm pretty eccentric, so I don't have to worry about that. And I pretty much can get paid for my personality.
Yeah.
For because I work at the front desk there and help out with things and greet everybody that comes in. So that's kind of like I found a pretty cool place to be and a place to work. But you don't want to. Sometimes I go too far.
Yeah.
too much. But that's my sense of humor. That again, I will say that if you grew up with any sort of trauma or anything like that, the way that I survived was to find something, even if it was morbid, that was funny about what's going on.
Oh yeah,
because
that's what I did too.
Yeah. So, I have a short story. My grandpa passed away in the mid 80s. Mm-hmm. I was married to my daughter's father, and we went to the funeral. And right before he died, he had Alzheimer's, and he got in a fight with one of the orderlies at the senior care home that he was at, and he broke his dentures, and they hadn't gotten his new dentures back yet. And before that, he had been wearing grandma's pants around the house because they were easy to just pull on.
Yeah.
So he'd be wearing like the bright lime waffle weave pull-up pants around. And you know, of course, he wasn't wearing those at the senior care home. And then he passed away. So he had an open casket, and we're all in the room looking and, you know, for the service and everything like that. And we got back out to the car, and I turned to my then husband, and I said, listen, I could see up his nose, and I have a question. Do you think he's wearing grandma's pants? And it cut the tension like a knife, and we just started laughing hysterically. Because it's like, that was all I could think about when I was looking at him in the casket was, do you think he's wearing grandma's pants? But I'm sure he wasn't. But that's what my mind does in response to events that just become too much. Is that because I firmly believe that laughter means some hope somewhere.
It does. You know, I see people just, you know, they let their traumas of their childhood define them without bringing humor into it. They just want to frickin' police everybody and say this is not funny, you know, or this is not okay, and all this crap, you know.
Well, I mean, the more that you push stuff away, and I know this because I'm kind of a control freak, and I push stuff away. You know, the more that you push it away, you're not dealing with it. But you can't. How do I say this? Where's my wise person? Can I find her? Because I'm sure I normally have really articulate things to say about this subject. So,
your inner guru.
My inner guru. Let's come out. Okay. Just a minute. So the more that you resist something like that, the more it persists. And I think that a lot of people push things away and don't like to hear things. A lot of comedy, like real good comedy, is truth.
Right.
Like that stand-up comedy, like it's a lot of truth. Like the ones that we remember, the ones that we idolize, you know, and like Bill Hicks or what, like this is true. Like they speak this truth. It's interspersed and it's entertaining and everything, but there are these truths that kind of get to you. And I think that a lot of people have a hard time with that because they're having a hard time digesting everything. You know what I mean? And so they want to push it away. It makes them feel some kind of way. It makes them feel, and that doesn't mean that some humor is just like, wow. It doesn't mean that there isn't a, wow, that's too far in my perception. But that does mean that a lot of it, that it takes a bit to get to the too far. I think for me, humor that goes too far, it might be, or humor that I'm not comfortable with is humor that's just ignorant. You know what I mean? Exactly. It's not my cup of tea, but it's other people's cup of tea. And listen, don't think that I don't love a fart joke, because I'm all about the fart jokes. I think I am a fart joke sometimes.
Oh yeah.
And you know, but it's not. It's other kinds of humor that just, I don't know. It's like basic. I don't know. It's not my scene. It's not my scene.
Yeah, I just think that, you know, we all laugh at sex jokes. We all laugh at fart jokes, and we all, you know, we all still are mentally 13 in our sense of humor. And when
a lot of us are, and some of us are even younger. Those are the ones that get uncomfortable with the poo poo and pee pee and caca.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know.
Oh my God, did your daughter inherit your sense of humor?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's even worse than me.
Love it.
Like sometimes she's even more vulgar than me. But
Love it.
hey, it's and she had there's I'm a lot of it is like a trauma response, man. It's
yes.
like, okay,
it's the same thing in my family.
I'm gonna survive this stuff, and I'm part of making the best of it. Is there's something really funny about this shit? Where's the funny? Where's the
I come from a family of hypersexuality, and so everything is a sexual connotation with us, and everything is just a sex joke and an innuendo and stuff with all of us.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. Yeah, mine just goes into the dark. It goes into the dark humor or blasphemy.
Yeah.
Because like one of my favorite jokes that I ever did was about let's see, what is it? Do you suppose that if Jesus and God is all knowing, do you suppose that how do you think that Jesus feels when you're masturbating and you're going, oh God, oh God, oh God? Like, if you were masturbating and you went, oh God, and God answered, like, what would that kind of kill your vibe? Like, what, just stuff like that.
Well, it's funny. It's funny when I'm ejaculating, I say, "Oh wow, oh wow," and the reason I do that is because I owe it to God.
Right? Oh, so I thought you were doing your Steve Jobs as he was dying impersonation.
No,
because I think that's what he said. Those were his last words.
Oh, I'm sure he did. Because he was an atheist.
If that's the case, that's probably your impersonation of seeing God. Oh no, there's a dog in here.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Well, I've been dead
because it's a surprise every time. It's a surprise.
I've been in a car crash. I've been in a coma. I've been dead. So, I don't have to say, oh, God, anymore because I know he exists. I'm just going to say, oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, because it's a surprise.
Exactly.
Oh, we're doing this now. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's what we're doing. Oh, yeah, that was my intention. I remember now.
Yeah. What kind of music did you grow up on?
Well, in the late 70s, early 80s, when I was in high school, I loved new wave and punk rock and alternative music. So
David Bowie.
Yeah, I loved David Bowie. I think my friend and I, when I was in 5th grade, we went down to her house and had a sleepover at her house because her mom was working at night, and we listened to Fame over and over again and must have did like the stupidest, most dorky dance routine that we were trying to figure out to that song.
Yeah.
Imagine. Well, don't imagine it because pedophiles would like to imagine the dance routine that 2 5th grade girls did in the 5th grade girl bedroom. But anyway, that was more of a description than I should have given so that we don't spur imagery. But David Bowie, and then when Saturday Night Live first came on, I was completely blown away by some of the musical guests that they had on there, namely Kate Bush, and the B-52s for one.
Yeah.
And they are legendary. And so I saw the B-52s and I thought to myself, you know what? I think I might be that kind of weird.
I love it.
And they were my favorite band for a lot. I loved Devo and the B-52s, the Pretenders, Berlin.
I love Berlin. I have a Terry Nunn story, but I can't tell it. It's politically incorrect.
Well, that happens.
Yeah.
That happened. But that's why it was a dream come true in the from 2008 to 2016, I was in a B-52's tribute band here in the Bay Area called Private Idaho.
Oh.
And it was my favorite thing to do, and I got to use my voice because I'm a good singer as well. And I get to sing in that band, and I got to wear the wigs, and we got to do shows. We played at bimbos and stuff. We had Ben Feldman on keyboards. He's one of the comics, the local comics.
I know Ben.
He was our keyboard guitar player when we first started, and then we transitioned to somebody else, and that was incredible. It was a dream come true to be the one singing those songs, because I had sang those songs in my high school bedroom, like listening to those records over and over and over again, and to get the opportunity to do that in a band was so badass. I can't even, I miss it a lot, but everything has its time.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. I want the B-52s in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I've become friends and interviewed Gina Shock of the Go-Go's. She wants the B-52s in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
They need to be. They're, aside from the fact that they're a brilliant band, they're such nice people. Mm-hmm. Like over the years, I got to meet Cindy,
Fred,
and Kate, and Fred, and Keith. All of them are really, really nice people. I love Cindy Wilson. She was so sweet to me. I can't even begin to describe how nice she was to me.
I've sent them all messages to come on the podcast. They've all been read but never responded.
Yeah, well, I don't know. They just did their residency in Vegas, and they're doing another one in April. And I think that'll be it. That'll be it of their touring.
Well, I'm sure after that they'll be happy to do interviews to, talk about, what made them great.
And and solo projects and stuff like that. You never know.
Yeah, I love the B-52s. Yeah, I mean, I love so much music. The British Invasion, New Wave, punk, and just so much stuff. Stax and Motown, all that stuff.
Right. I love a lot of different kinds of music. I mean, in the last couple of years, I got into Nick Cave, and I don't get bored with him. It's dark and beautiful, and it's like the B-52s encompass one part of my personality, and Nick Cave and others like that encompass another part. I'm like a weird little wacky goth girl or something. I don't know.
Which era of music of Bowie's do you love the most?
I think the earlier stuff. But I have to say that his last record, the final one that was released after he passed,
right,
Black Star, is one of the most beautiful albums that I've ever heard.
I agree. I think it's great.
It was incredible. There isn't a song on there that I don't love.
Yeah.
And that's rare to say.
It's funny, with the exception of Space Oddity and Starman, he didn't really do too many ballads in his career. He was always keeping the beat moving, especially when he did the Berlin trilogy. I mean, I listened to that and I'd go, wow. I mean, he was just frickin' pioneering the groove with those synthesizers,
Oh yeah. He was incredible. I did like the Ziggy Stardust. And and I loved when MTV, with Let's Dance.
Oh, of course.
And that era, the not the Thin White Duke, it was the Modern Love era with the blonde hair and everything like that. His ability to reinvent himself and to sound different all the time it was really incredible. It was really masterful.
Oh yeah, he was just always, seeing, what was going on and doing his version of it in some way, and it was always great. But Let's Dance, I mean, that was his most successful album, and it introduced him to a newer generation of fans, and they discovered
Mm-hmm.
his older music and all of that stuff. Yeah, I mean, he
Right.
was just amazing.
Yeah, he is very much missed. He left an amazing legacy, though.
Yeah, God. Now, your readings. I mean, did you develop this gift like early on, or was it something you learned?
Um, I I had an interest in the occult from the time that I could start reading. I checked out books that because my mom didn't really pay attention to the books I checked out at the library, so I would check out like witchy books out of the library, and I inherited some books from my grandmother about the occult.
Mm-hmm.
And she had a deck of tarot cards, and I used to be fascinated with them. Eventually, she gave them to me when I was in my 20s,
Right.
and I tried to memorize the readings and the meanings, and I couldn't memorize them. So um, one year, I got offered to take a tarot class from someone when I moved to San Francisco, and we she took us through the meanings of the cards, but then she had us put the meanings away and just use our intuition. And that's when it was like I had permission to just tell people what I was seeing, as opposed to specifically, it has to be exactly what this card means. And I started seeing clients. That was like in 1988.
Mm-hmm.
And I started seeing clients very shortly after that. And I've been doing readings with the tarot, and I use since 1999 I've used a deck for clients called the Fairies Oracle, and it's by Brian Froud, and he did the artwork for the puppets for Labyrinth and the Dark Crystal.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love
And
those.
so he does a lot of really amazing, incredible fairy paintings and gnomes and stuff like that. And so this deck has all these pictures in it, and those cards seem to speak to me. So I like to use them the most. Those are the ones, if you ever watch my card of the week that I post up on Facebook and on TikTok, that's the card deck that I use.
A good friend of mine, Amanda Garcia, who's been on my podcast 4 times. She was a karaoke host in the Bay Area, and I used to go
Mm-hmm.
see her a lot and stuff. The last time I went to San Mateo to visit was December of 2019, and her and I got together at Starbucks, and she told me, "Did you know I'm a tarot reader?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't." And she's like, "Yeah." So she gave me a reading right in the middle of Starbucks, and she said
Oh,
something that was so profound. I mean, oh my God, it was crazy. So, at that time, my mom was drinking a lot. Um, and I had had blood work done about a week before. I found out the following week that my blood sugar was very high and I needed to quit eating sugar, which I did. And her reading was, you better take care of you and not worry about your mom, otherwise you're gonna die.
wow.
And
That's
then
kind of harsh, but makes sense.
and then in April of last year, I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes because I gave up sugar, and then when COVID hit, I got even more depressed than I had been before.
Yeah, yeah. This has been really hard for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
So
I
I've been, I've lost about 40-ish pounds in the last year, and I'm just making a point to exercise again. And my mom ended up taking a fall the following summer, and she hasn't been drinking, thank God. She's got other issues, but yeah, I mean, that was profound. I mean, just very, very right on the money.
Well, and it sounds like it was presented to you in a way that you needed to hear it, so you would
Yeah.
hear it. And that's a thing. That's a thing. As a good reader, like, you will come upon the phrase, the way that you word things is tailored specifically to the person that's in front of you.
Yeah.
How are they going? There's a message. You've got a message for them, but how 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 can you convey this message that will make the most difference? that will really, really hit them, not in a bad way, but in a good way, and shift their energy enough to where they make a better choice for themselves. And it sounds like she hit the nail right on the head and helped you that way.
She did, and sadly, she just lost her mother, and she's going through a divorce. She got married like the following year, and she moved out of the Bay Area, and I just feel so bad for her, and I just love her dearly. And I've only known her a short time, but she's just been so good to me. And it's true what they say. People who come from the South, a lot. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of jerks who come from the South, but there's also a lot of good people who look out for one another.
Yeah. Well, we find our community.
Mm-hmm.
We find our community. I'm surprised. I mean, I isolate myself a little bit, but I get surprised by the people in my friend group and people that will show up for me that I didn't expect to have anyone show up for me, and people have shown up, and that's been really great, for somebody who, never feels like she's good enough.
Yeah. Do you know who Pleasant Gaiman is?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Her and I have become friends. She's been on the show a couple times, and she is one of the funniest, darkly hilarious women I've ever met in my life.
She is really hilarious. She does really good readings, and
yes.
She's freaking gorgeous.
Oh yes,
she's freaking gorgeous, and I love her voice, that husky voice.
She sounds like Fran Drescher, but from Connecticut.
Exactly. Yeah, she's really lovely. I've been following her on Instagram ever since I heard her interviewed on Dana Gould's podcast a couple of times.
Yep.
And I had no idea. And I read about, I think I listened to John Doe from X, his biography or his book, and there were stories about all of them and the Go-Go's and stuff for back then. That whole scene, Alice Bag.
Oh yes.
Like all the,
I just reached out to Alice. Hopefully, I'm going to get her on.
I know she's doing a lot right now. I think she just recorded an album.
Oh, good.
And she's been touring a little bit.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's like these are women that I looked up to that are not too much older than I am.
Right.
But I was in Nevada and they were in California, and I just wanted to be in California. Like from the time I got into high school, I realized I just wanted to be in California.
Yeah. So Queenie Pie is your alter ego?
Queenie Pie, I named myself Queenie because of this part of this witchy thing, but Queenie Pie came when, in 2004, when I was on an online community called Tribe.net, and I started something called the Church of Pie. And because people were fighting over religion, and I decided that, like, I had some good pie the night before, and I decided to interject into every argument you don't understand. It's really about a great slice of pie and a cup of coffee, kind of Twin Peaks like.
Oh yeah.
And then I just started typing into every argument where the Christians were arguing with the atheists, whatever. Pie equals love.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started getting called Queenie Pie, and then we started having pie parties. They started pie parties in LA, and then we started having them in the Bay Area here, where people would come and share pie. Yeah. And all these different people from all these different types of communities would come and share food. Mm-hmm. And let's see, I just made myself the queen of something.
Queenie Pie, yeah.
Yeah.
And Divine Box Productions is your company?
Well, it's not really a company, but yes. The Divine Box was a one-woman show that I did in the Fringe Festival in San Francisco in 1999. It, the name of it was Divine Box, so I thought if I'm going to produce anything, Divine Box Productions would be, because it encompassed the one-woman show encompassed everything. I sang, I recited some poetry, I did characters, I did funny things. It was everything I did all into one box. Oh.
And you're a wig collector. When did that start? And do they ever get itchy? Because I can't imagine wearing a wig all the time. Because I'm going bald. I don't want to wear a
They
toupee.
do get itchy. They do get
Yeah.
itchy, and sometimes they squeeze your head and give you a headache. But when I was doing the B-52's tribute band, that was a necessity. I needed to have beehives. So I collected a bunch of beehives. I have since donated some of them after the band broke up. I donated my, I like to call her the Star Trek bitch wig, the green. It was like Kelly Green. I donated her to Nick Leonard, who does drag, and hopefully he'll be wearing her at some point, or they will be wearing her at some point. And then I donated a couple to a couple of friends' children that wanted to do stuff. But I still have some. I still have a pink, not beehives, but I still have a pale pink wig and a teal one, and maybe I do have one. I have one beehive left that's burgundy and looks like Endora from Bewitched, because it used to be long and I cut it off to play Endora from Bewitched for Halloween one year.
What's your favorite B-52 song?
It's kind of obscure. Well, actually, one of my favorite B-52 song is from one of the first albums, and it's called Hero Worship. Cindy Wilson sings it.
Oh, okay, that's a good one.
It is. But I like them. I like so many off the first couple of albums. That's kind of like my favorite era when Ricky was alive.
Yeah.
And, because Running Around, Strobe Light, 6060842, that one, just, there's a moon in the sky. It's called the moon. I just thought it was just so funny and so good that between that and there's some power pop stuff that I really liked back in the day. The Paul Collins beat. And
yeah, I love Song for a Future Generation.
Oh yeah, we were trying to learn that with the band, and we were trying to make up little things for each of us to say.
Hi, I'm Tommy. I'm a Gemini. I like feet, belly buttons, body jokes. Movies,
yeah.
Music.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Queenie, and I like cats and pie.
Let's play my secret silly game. This is a series of silly slumber party questions. No win or lose. It's just pure fun. And how the game works is I ask you the question, you answer it, and then you ask me that exact same question and I answer it. And feel free to comment on the answers because they might be funny.
Okay.
Erin, are you ticklish?
Yes, very much.
Yeah.
Tommy, are you ticklish?
Oh, I'm so ticklish that if you tickle me without warning, I might hit you in the groin.
That's how ticklish I am. I hate it.
Is your belly button an innie or an outie?
Innie. How about you?
Same. I have an innie as well. What color are your toenails painted?
Oh, I'm ashamed to say that I took my toenail polish off the other day and I haven't had time to put it back on.
Okay. That's
So it might be peach. It might be peach this next time.
Nice.
How about you?
Right now they're not painted, but last time they were purple lavender.
Nice. Well done. Well played. Well played, toe guy.
What would you say is your best personality trait?
Wow, that's a hard one. No, it's not hard. I feel like I want to be kind. I'm funny though. I'm hilarious. How about you? What's your best personality trait?
I have empathy and I have no filter.
Ah, very nice. So I'm kind of like, empathy is the one. I want to be kind, but I'm also I also want to be funny. I want people to love me.
Yes, we all want that.
Yeah.
If you could have anything named after you, what would it be?
A Shoe by John Fluvog. But I think he already named a shoe Erin, and it wasn't named after me. So maybe he could name one Queenie Pie. How about you?
A vibrator.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice. Battery.
A battery.
Battery, rechargeable, or electric.
Either way, just as long as every woman in America has a replica of my dick inside them.
Oh, wow. Did you know that a lot of times vibrators don't go inside?
Oh yeah,
They go outside.
You got the outside ones, you got the clit suckers, you got all that fun stuff. Yeah.
But that's it's a goal. It's a goal. I'm not mocking your goal.
Yeah.
Like to one day have something with your name on it inside every available vagina in the world.
Or butt as well, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah. Whatever orifice floats your boat, man.
Yeah, the Tommy Chatsy.
I guess so, right?
Right. And then my favorite question, is there a stinky smell that just makes you gag?
Oh. I really don't like cigarette smoke.
Yeah.
But that makes me gag. Mm-hmm. That would well, dead things. Yeah, that's no good. What about you?
If your feet are clean, I love it, but if they're dirty, that's a no bueno for me. And of course, farts are the worst.
Yeah. They don't make me gag, but sometimes you get surprised. Well, do you ever? Okay, I have a side question, side slumber party question.
Okay.
Do you ever get surprised by your own farts, where you're like, oh, I'm so, oh my God, I'm in my own cloud. Oh, whoa, oh God.
I'm in my own cloud. It depends on what you eat, really.
Yeah. So it happens, though. You get stuck in your own cloud, and it's a problem.
Exactly.
I mean, if you're,
yeah.
Oh, that's so sad. And then it follows you from room to room. Sometimes you're like a dog. You'll fart and you try and get away from it, and it follows you somehow. Like it wasn't done. It was like your fart wasn't done with you, Tommy.
It gets volatile, yeah.
Yeah. That fart says, hey, come back here. I'm not done with you. Or it's like the Pat Benatar song, I'm gonna follow you till I gross you out. See?
Wow, you should start a Pat Benatar tribute band.
I know, right?
Yeah. I have a joke for you. What do you call a boy that doesn't masturbate?
Oh, sad.
A liar.
Yeah, that's true. That's the more obvious answer. I went for the, that's really sad.
Yeah. Erin, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
You're welcome.
I just think you are just so wonderful and so awesome. I hope to see you in person one day.
Right. Well, me too. I really appreciate you inviting me on. I was very surprised because I feel like I'm not nobody.
I have funny people who are not known on all the time, and Bay Area friends and so forth. It's just, it's the weird, creepy world of Tommy is what this podcast is.
Oh my God, that's wonderful. Yeah, I got kind of creepy with you. It was awesome. So make sure that you send me a link to when this gets posted anywhere or wherever it gets posted. Just let me know.
Absolutely, darling. You have yourself a great night and be safe out there.
You too. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Erin Shannon. Ain't she a sweetheart? Oh, what a lovely person she is, and she's so fun and quirky. I just adore her. She is so funny and so much fun. Well, until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes.